Yeah, so a very different year, and young people will be thinking about their next steps. For many of them, that may involve university. Because of the higher than expected grades, UCAS has said a record number of would-be students have been accepted by their first choice. Well, our reporter Alex Hartley is at the University of South Wales in Treforest for us this evening. So Alex, I expect they'll be looking to welcome plenty of new students then.
Indeed they will. I mean, record results means that a record number of students have been applying to universities like this one. Welcome to a very sunny University of South Wales, where I'm joined by Dr. Steve Lake, who is the Director of Marketing and Student Recruitment. Thanks for joining us, Steve. So you've had a record number of applicants, but does that in turn mean that you've got a squeeze on places, especially for those popular courses?
Yeah, it does mean that to a certain extent. So some courses are oversubscribed and you're finding that a lot of students are struggling to get the course they want. Having said that, I think there is quite a lot of unmet demand in the sector across a range of other subjects, so it's a bit of a mixed picture. Is
a university degree being devalued slightly by sort of more and more people coming to university?
No, I wouldn't say that at all, and in fact I would say the opposite. I think it's real evidence of the hard working of the students, particularly through these horrendous times that we've all had to live through. And I think the university still gives people the opportunity to explore completely different avenues and new careers. So no, I wouldn't say it devalues it in any way.
And what's your advice to those students who didn't get the grades they were hoping for and expecting, and maybe they're starting to panic a bit about what to do next?
Yeah, I say this every year, but it's true. Don't panic. The key thing is to actually look at what your options are and take your time, because there is this kind of tendency which, you know, builds up to one day and it's like everything's got to be done. It hasn't. And clearing actually goes on pretty much right up till close to the beginning of term. So you've got time to think, got time to visit the institutions that interest you, got time to talk to students, because most of us, and certainly at the University of South Wales, what we do is we try and put people in touch with people who are on their course so they can ask the really important questions that matter to them.
And of course, many haven't had the luxury of coming to see these universities due to the pandemic. What can they expect come the autumn and when they start university? Will there be more face-to-face learning?
There will be more. I think the key thing to bear in mind is that we're not out of the pandemic yet, so there will still be some restrictions, and there will be following guidelines and making sure that we're being sensible in what we do to make sure it's a safe environment for students and staff. But I would say that it will be a notch up from where we were last year. So not back to full pre-pandemic sort of situation, but moving in the right direction. And, you know, it's very important to us that not just the learning that students have here, but also the overall experience of being at university is something that is valuable and enjoyable.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for joining us, Dr. Steve Lake. So obviously lots of celebrations for students up and down the country today. Obviously some disappointment for others, but there is lots of support out there, not least on our website, itv.com/Wales, where there's lots of advice and tips.
Some really valuable advice there as well from Dr. Lake. Thanks very much indeed, Alex.